Welcome back to the Good Father, the Really Good Podcast. Now, today's topic, I'm going to talk about the time I got myself out of jail when I was locked up on a no bail. Obviously, for something I didn't do. But anyway, I was locked up on a no bail, and I went ahead and I was able to get myself out just by writing a letter. So, let's take it back 2013. This is during the time I had a protective order on me. Eventually it was cleared of all the abuse and everything. But anyway, it was still on me at the time. It was fresh. There's nothing I really could do. And my kid's mom got in her head that she figured she was mad at me. So she decided to call the police and tell them that she spoke to me over the phone. And I didn't threaten her, but she didn't like my tone because I wanted to talk about the kids and about how they're being raised, and she didn't feel like talking about it. So she decided to call the police and let them know that, I'm out here breaking the protective order. But here's the thing. I was allowed to talk to her. In the protective order, I specifically got it stated to where I could call her in reference to the kids because we were co-parenting. I did have joint legal custody, even though there was a protective order. So it was like, hey, nah, he's got to be able to talk to you as long as I'm not threatening her or anything like that. And I try to keep it that way for the most part. Well, not for the most part. I didn't threaten this woman at all. Didn't speak negative to her. Didn't raise my voice or nothing. I played the simp role during this time because I didn't want to go to jail. Worried about my kids. Anyway. So she decides that she wants to make this phone call. She makes the phone call. And it's happened to be a Monday morning. I'm sitting in the house with my kids. Now, mind you, I made the call, I guess, over the weekend. Because, like I said, I see how my kids are looking crazy, whatever. I told her I basically wanted them to be looking neat when I see them. So she decides to go ahead and call the police, like I said. So, like, a couple of days later, the police come to my house and knock on my door. And they tell me that I need to come with them. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't have no warrants. All the stuff I done dealt with, look, I'm clear. So I'm not worried. I'm like, look, y'all need to go check y'all stuff and recheck your paperwork. Like, y'all arrested me before, and I got cleared of that. So, like, check your stuff again. Like, don't get a fresh new warrant. And I was like, listen, that can't be. I didn't threaten this woman. Just fought this woman about raising my kids. The protective order that we have in place says I can speak to her in reference to the kids, as long as I'm not threatening her. I'm like, look at this. What does it say? I did, and it says on there specifically that she didn't want to talk about the kids, so that's why she decided to make the complaint. Even though the agreement specifically states that, or the protective order specifically stated that I can talk to her about the kids. So, okay, no worries, no big deal. No, hell yeah, it's a big deal. Because at the time, it was just me at my home with my kids. On my visitation, I was supposed to take them back to see her. But at this time, I was going to jail. And the police, like I said, they read the protective order. I mean, they read the warrant. And when they read it, their jaws dropped. I was like, wait a minute. You didn't threaten her. You didn't do anything. Like, no. And I showed them my protective order, or the protective order that I had. And it clearly stated that I can communicate with her only in reference to care for the children. That is it. And she stated in the protective order that I contacted her in reference to the care of the children. Like, how contradictory is that? But that's how crazy and screwed up this system is. But anyway, so fast forward. Cops look at it. Now the cops look at it, their jaws literally drop like, wait a minute, like this doesn't make any sense. I'm like, yeah, I know. Doesn't make any sense at all. But I'm going to jail for exactly what I'm supposed to do. Like, how can I go to jail for what I'm supposed to do? And they were like, makes no sense. So they called her and they told her, like, look, you need to come here and get these kids right now, because he's going to jail because you filed a complaint saying that he called you to talk about the kids. And I have a protective order that says here he can talk to you about the kids. And she had no explanation. Just stuck and stuttered like, So what happens? The cops, I will say this, the police department at the time, understanding my situation, they did not lock me up in front of my kids. They stayed there for like 45 minutes till her mom, not even her, she didn't even come get the kids. Her mom came and got the kids from me. And after that, then they locked me up. That's the one thing. So, I mean, when I say sometimes after police, you know what, I got to take it back, because there have been times that even the Baltimore City Police Department has done good, especially through this custody case. The Northern District, they definitely, or Northeastern District, they definitely have come out and stood up for the big guy. Because I was right, mainly, and they know how I conduct myself. But the fact is that this woman got me arrested. They told her she needed to come, have somebody come get me, or they were going to send the kids to CPS because I had to go to jail. And they told her they weren't going to do that, but they just wanted her to feel what was going on and what she caused, because it was a waste of resources, waste of arrest, waste of everything. So cops wait, grandmother comes to get the kids, they lock me up, and like the whole way down there, these police officers, believe it or not, are apologizing to me for this, and they are saying that this makes no sense, there's no way I should be going through this, and that they agree that the system is completely broken, because how can you follow the rules and still get arrested for following the rules? Because people don't really read paperwork, they just do processes. So in this situation, if you're not aware, in the state of Maryland, if you're locked up on a domestic violence violation of protective order, you are locked up on a no bail. Because a few years ago, woman got protective order, guy violated it. She pled to the court not to let him out. The court let him out, and unfortunately, that young lady lost her life. So I understand why the rule is in place for those severe cases. But if people just read the paperwork, it wouldn't have even been filed, is all I'm saying. But again, I understand you don't get all the paperwork, so they just have to act off of the information provided. So one could even allude that she committed fraud. She utilized the justice system or the criminal system to punish me because she didn't like something I did. And this happens often. But I did get myself out, and this is how I did. So after I got locked up, I got thrown into central bookings, downtown Baltimore. Anybody been there? This is before they did the crackdown. So 23-hour lockdown. Yeah. Come on, man. This was crazy. I ain't never been locked up like this before in my life. And for this was just a little short-term stays or whatever, like overnight or whatever, something stupid. When I was younger, not as a grown man though. So I'm here in my 30s. Yeah, I'm in my mid to late 30s at this time, getting locked up with these young guys. But at the time, I'd already been educating myself on the legal system, and just especially with this custody situation. So I had skimmed across something called a habeas corpus. So let me take a step back. Mind you, I was locked up for a total of 27 days. My first period of being locked up was for a week. That was in central bookings, 23 hours locked down. Mind you, I'm just charged with a crime, not convicted. I'm basically on solitary confinement in the cell with the white dude. And and for me, I lucked out. I had a cool cellie, didn't have no young crazy cat drugged out. So it was a cool little move for me. And I'm not sorry, let me take it back. It was a frictionless stay in central bookings. I didn't have no beefs, no issues, no nothing. I was there for my 7 days and I got gone. They transferred me to the county. I didn't get out. I just got transferred to the county, which was, as far as if you're looking at as far as condition wise, was much better. But being locked up sucks no matter what. So, mind you, in the city, the county's supposed to come pick you up like within like 48 hours, but they didn't. I somehow got lost down there, whatever. But I kept complaining. They finally came and got me. So, get me to the county. Now, mind you, in the city, again, because it's a county bail, the city really can't, or county warrant, the city can't issue you a bail. But you're required constitutionally. A lot of people aren't aware of this. Constitutionally, you're required when you're locked up to get a bail review. So whenever you get locked up for a crime, first thing that's going to happen is you're going to see a commissioner and you're going to get an initial bail. Now that bail could be super high or it could be relatively super low depending on your crime, based upon your crime and whatever. Okay, that's not my area. I've not been commissioner. I'm not going to try to fudge that, but again, you can imagine if you've done a lot of crimes, your bill's gonna be a lot higher. Or just, again, some people luck up and get a low bill for a crime they really should have got a higher bill for. So for those situations, most people want to bail out right away within that first 24-hour period before bail review. Because if you go to bail review, unfortunately with bail review, they could raise your bail. And if you're fortunate, they could lower your bail. Or they could keep it the same. So a lot of guys who are familiar with the criminal justice system, career criminals, if you will, people just been locked up for whatever more than one time, are aware that there's this bail review process and it can go left. So a lot of guys, if they have a bail, they try to really press really hard to get out within that 24 hours. Now, for me, at my initial bail I was given when I locked up was a no bail, but I figured I'd go to bail review hearing. I can go ahead and I could plead my case and I can explain to him like, hey, Your Honor, like, nah, it's like, look at the protective order and look at why I'm locked up. And he'd be like, oh, okay, all right, makes sense. I will let you out. But nah, understand that, like I said, at the bail review hearing, you're going to get that. I'm sorry, let's say it back again. Once you get your initial bail through the commissioner, you have 24 hours to get it. Constitutionally, you're required to get a bail review hearing within 24 hours. There's some extenuating circumstances depending on how you got locked up, but most likely within 24 hours, you're going to actually see a judge or a magistrate judge to review your bail and determine if it needs to maintain where it's at, if it needs to be raised or lowered. So for me, I'm in the city. I get my initial no bail. I didn't trip. I'm like, look, I know I'm good. Police even know I'm good. Everybody understand I'm good. I ain't tripping because it makes sense. It just all makes sense. I'm supposed to talk to her. I'm allowed to talk to her. She complained that I talked to her about what I'm supposed to talk to her. She didn't say I raised my voice or threaten her, so I should be good. Nope, not how it works. So anyway, get to the bail review hearing. And the bail review, the judge says, no, son, we're going to maintain this violation of protective order. We're going to let you sit until it's time to go to court. Because again, it's the likely at a bail review hearing, what a lot of people don't understand is, in that hearing, you're looking at, here we go. Just want to make sure, I want to give you guys the correct information. I don't want to just fudge it or swing it. But understand that the issue at a bail review hearing isn't whether the defendant's guilt or innocence, but rather the likelihood that he or she will behave properly and will return to court if released. So the thing about it is with domestic violence is like, oh, you snitched on me. It's more or less like they're thinking retaliation. So they're more or less trying to make sure you get your fair day in court and that the person who requested the protection stays alive until that court date, for the most part, or unharmed. Let me say that, stay unharmed until that court date. So again, I get why, and in certain circumstances, yes, but a blanket situation just isn't fair or constitutional. So I get to this bail review hearing, and the judge is like, yeah, violation of protective order, yeah, that's automatic, no bail. Next. And here at this time, mind you, I'd been through this process before previously, and it was got a bail, got out, did my thing or whatever. So mind you, I've never been in a situation like this, and as far as like not even threatening somebody, not even an actual crime itself was committed through the statements. And I got a no bail, lost my mind, I cussed the judge out. I lost it. It was the first time I ever lost my cool. Got locked up. I'm sitting there. Now they done put me in the back in the holding cell 23-7. I mean 23-1. 23 I was locked down, 1 hour out. Then I wound up going up to Baltimore County where it was much more regular, where you had dorms and you were out during the daytime. I mean, for me, I really didn't have a job because I wasn't an actual prisoner. So I get to the county, go through that whole process. And that, I'm gonna tell you about going from the city to the county, and that was a whole nother process. Like literally, I almost caught charges going just between, because I wasn't playing those police games. You don't play that stuff with me. I'm sorry. I might be locked up, but I'm free and I'm innocent. Well, okay, I wasn't free, but I had a free mind. Some people might have got messed up, but anyway, we'll talk about it another time. So moving on, I get there. I'm sitting here up in the county, in my final dorm, like pending my actual hearing, and I'm sitting there and I'm talking to all these guys about just court and how in the legal system, and just understanding how I've been doing things and explaining stuff to them and giving them a pretty good idea of the things I do. And like, oh, you're pretty smart. Oh, okay, yeah, you do understand this. And then I'm sitting there, I'm just talking, and then one day I was sitting there, just it's about 2 weeks in, I'm sitting there just complaining about, like, this is crap. This is bull. Like, I mean, I'm locked up. I mean, I just like lost it. I mean, after 2 weeks, I just got fed up about the nonsense and the slow progressing. And this cool dude, I never forget, like, he was like, say, bro, now you talk all this smart stuff. And like, now, don't get me wrong, like, I believe you, and you sound like you know what you're saying. Like, I mean, you really sound like you know what you're saying. You read these documents and we all believe you, you know what I'm saying? But like, if you're so smart, why don't you just get yourself out? And I was like, damn, like, he really just checked me. Like, if I really am so smart, like, why am I sitting here complaining to these cats? Why ain't I out free, fighting my case out there? So at that moment, it clicked in my head. It was like, yo, he is right, and I do know how to get myself out of jail, and I ain't gotta pay no bail. So this is when I remembered through my studies, I remember about reading about a habeas corpus. Now, for those who don't understand what a habeas corpus is, a habeas corpus is a writ requiring, or an order from a court requiring a person under arrest to be brought before a judge or into a court, especially to secure the person's release unless lawful grounds are shown for their detention. So meaning at this hearing, they either got to prove that you should be locked up, or they got to let you go. Unlike a bail review hearing, where it's more like, I mean, what you being charged with, is it a chance that you likely to go out and act a fool? Or it's here, it's like, wait a minute, we got him locked up, but is he supposed to be really locked up? And the habeas corpus is what I used. Okay? And everybody has the legal right to apply. Anybody that's arrested or locked up has the right to apply for habeas corpus. And again, let me take a step back. This is not legal advice. I'm not a lawyer. But this is what I did to get myself out. So what I did was, we have access to the law library and things like that. So I happened to get a copy of a habeas corpus, and I looked at it and I read it, and I just tried to memorize it all the way through. And I did. I memorized this habeas corpus verbatim. I went back, all I had was a pencil and a blank piece of computer paper. And I sat down and I wrote my habeas corpus to the court. Sent this letter, folded it on up, written in pencil, signed in pencil, sent to the court. Now, I sent it to the court, like 5 or 6 days that went by. 5 or 6 days went by and nothing happened. I'm like losing my mind, like, what's going on? I ain't really have a public attender or nothing like that. So I convinced my mom to go find a lawyer, like, to find out what's really going on. Now, here is the craziest part about it, is where I always say, one, find you a competent attorney, because I personally got scammed for $600. I literally did all the work, and this is how it went. So, mom gets the lawyer, pays the bread, boom. Lawyer comes to me, comes to me in jail and was like, hey, did you write this to the court? I was like, yeah, because he had a copy of the habeas corpus. I was like, yeah, I did. He was like, this is really good. Like, how's you? So I was like, I did it off memory. And so he was like, all right, well, we're going to get this to the judge to get you taken care of. Now, here's what I didn't know. My habeas corpus, at the same time I hired this lawyer, my habeas corpus had gotten from the judge and was approved. At the same time this dude was collecting $600 from me, the court was scheduling a hearing for me within 7 days. They say 10, but from the time that I had written it, they took that into account. So it was like within 7 days of that time, I was going in front of the judge. So, boom, boom, boom. Fast forward. And I mind you, I'm like, at this time, I'm just like, you know what? I already paid the $600. I know I'm getting there. I ain't worried about it. Once I get there and I talk, I know I'm golden. I ain't worried about it. And my habeas corpus speaks for itself. So, I mean, one thing, pause. One thing I want everybody to understand is when you go to court, you shouldn't really do too much yapping because you can trip up your words and get caught up. All of my testimony was always through pleadings and writings through court because, again, it had to be heard out without an argument, basically. And if you wanted to argue it, you had to write and rebut it, and it would be reviewed separately from the actual writing itself, so it wouldn't be polluted. Again, just my opinion, but I'm not a lawyer. This is just what I did and what I always do if I have any legal situations that I deal with. So fast forward back. So we're sitting there in court, and well, they come pick me up. I go to court. A couple cases go ahead of me. I'm like, oh snap, this is like a for real like hearing. Like I'm actually in the court with a judge, not over the video, none of that. Like this is a for real hearing, and like I could literally walk out of here immediately. And I left and I told everybody, like, all right, I'll holler at y'all. So I'm here down in the Holden, got my little fake out dress clothes on. Hey, it's not how I dress. It was just something that had to be thrown at the last minute because my mom had to grab some clothes from me at my spot. So it was nothing I could do. I had to rely on her. So anyway, go ahead, get to court. And really, my lawyer didn't do too much talking. Nobody did. I mean, pretty much it was the judge. The judge was like, hey, matter before me here, blah, blah, blah. Reading here, read through the habeas corpus. Because again, you had to read through the matter while you're at the court. Read through my habeas corpus. And the judge was like, wow, this is really well written. Like, did you write this yourself? I was like, yes, I did, Your Honor. Absolutely, I did. He was like, you did a fantastic job. So, going on. My lawyer's just standing there. I'm like, you slick. Ooh. Again, I can't say that. I'm just trying to get out of jail. So anyway, going along, and the judge gives the state attorney an opportunity to start speaking. And they're like, yeah, Your Honor, you need to be kept in jail because of violation of protective order, and it's a serious crime, and it pretty much holds a no bail until the hearing. And then, obviously, I had written out everything that I stated here, but then the judge was like, well, here in the habeas corpus, it states that the protective order shows, that in the protective order, he's allowed to speak to her, and in the actual charging document itself, it says that he didn't threaten her, that he only wanted to talk about the kids, and she didn't want to talk about the kids. That's why she's calling. Like, why is this young man locked up? Why is he being arrested for something he's allowed to do? I mean, this judge literally went in on the state's attorney, and went in on the state's attorney, and pretty much my lawyer kind of asked, like, Your Honor, we're just asking that Mr. Franks be released and set free. And the judge took a second. The judge didn't take not even a good 30 seconds to deliberate, and was like, this just doesn't make any sense. This is an abuse. The judge even says it's an abuse of the justice system. Like, he followed the rules, and he still got locked up in jail for 27 days. Was locked up for 27 days, and the judge went ahead and released me on my own recognizance. Walked out of jail, didn't have to report to nobody or nothing. Didn't make any sense. And obviously, if you can imagine, yes, that violation of protective order got dismissed because it was frivolous. But what happened to her? Nothing. But yes, I wrote a habeas corpus. Again, a legal request made to someone to produce a body in front of a judge. So somebody that's detained or locked up. Basically, it's more or less to the warden or the sheriff of a detention center. That's who the writ of habeas corpus is directed to. So that warden or that sheriff would have to produce that person that's locked up, and the state would have to justify why that person has to remain locked up. And if they can't prove it, you get out of jail for free. No bail, nothing. You just releasing your own recognizance. So that's how I got out of jail without paying a penny and for something I didn't do. So you can't do it. And granted, yeah, I had a lawyer, but my lawyer did no work. He did nothing. He was just there. Excuse me. He was just there. And it put transcript, everything. Literally, I did everything. I wrote the habeas corpus. I submitted it. I spoke on my own behalf. Even with him there, only thing he asked was that the court release me. So there you have it. Again, do your research. Google habeas corpus. People get out of jail all the time. And if, as far as habeas corpus, the Dred Scott case was based on, it was a habeas corpus case. So that's another reason why it popped in my head as well while I was locked up in here. So just, again, Dred Scott, you can look up his case about habeas corpus and just look up habeas corpus on itself. And you can understand how to get out of jail without paying a bail and just walking out. That's what I did. So, hey guys, thanks for listening. I appreciate your patience, your time. Again, come back again. I got some more stories. I've been through this whole getting custody of my kids. I've been locked up more times than not for something I didn't do. Made it through unscathed and safe. 10 fingers, 10 toes. So, again, check me out. I'll be back again. Holla.